Jay here from Stretford, Paddock. This is the Paper Talk. As you can see, I'm in the studio. We are live, so get involved in the chat and the comments. We're going to be talking about all things Manchester United, the latest Manchester United news. A lot of the news focusing on that epic six-pointer. The six-pointer in the relegation battle against Southampton, where Manchester United prevailed 3-1 thanks to Ahmad. I believe he doesn't want to be called Ahmad Diallo anymore. I think it's just Ahmad. So I will try and remember that, but forgive me if I slip up and call him Ahmad Diallo. But his name is Ahmad moving forward. Fair play to the kid. Absolutely love him to bits. I've loved him ever since he ruined Klopp's farewell tour, and I continue to love him. And I think that my idea of building him a statue is looking more and more likely by the day. Great to see him scoring a hat-trick. Wasn't an amazing performance. Let's not kid ourselves about that, but we'll take the win. And it's good to see some fighting spirit from Manchester United. Far too often, post Alex Ferguson, not just recently, post Alex Ferguson, we haven't shown that sort of fighting spirit, especially over the last sort of, year or so, where we've had some really bad results. Even this season, even under Ruben Amorim, we've had some bad results where the team haven't been able to rally. But we are seeing a bit more belief, a bit more determination from this team, especially over the last few weeks. And do you know what? You can say, look, Southampton, potentially in Premier League history, if you look at the points tally they've got, there was a time, or there was spells last night where they played us off the park. I get all that. But a win is a win, and it's good to see Manchester United not giving up, getting that win. And obviously, you've got to give Ahmad his flowers. Superb to see him getting a hat-trick. And let's be honest, Premier League hat-tricks are not exactly falling from the rooftops at Old Trafford, are they, for Manchester United? When's the last time we had? Was it Ronnie? I think it was the last time we had a Premier League hat-trick. I think, was that against Spurs, I want to say? Was it? Yeah, I think, was it about 3-4 years ago? So, look, we'll take the win. Say take the L, we'll take the W. Good to see it. Good to see Ahmad Diallo. Ahmad. I'll get there. Getting on the score sheet as well. And obviously there's a lot of things that Ruben Amorim can be unhappy about, but there's some things he can be happy about. I think we've got a clip from the press conference from last night. The press conference for today, I think he recorded last night. It's embargoed till half one, but we'll be getting into that later on today when the embargo's lifted. But this is from last night. This is him talking about Ahmad Diallo. Ahmad.
I didn't say nothing. I will tell you tomorrow that he has to rest, eat good food to prepare that Sunday. We need them again. He did a great job. It's a great moment for a young kid to score an hat-trick for a club like this, but he needs to focus on the next match because this is already in the past, and prepare the next game.
Sorry, I was just staring lovingly at Ruben Amorim. I mean, what a guy. He's so charismatic, innit? I like the way he handles himself. I like the balance he's got, and he doesn't get carried away, does he? He doesn't get all giddy, and he's not like, he's not one way or the other. When you win at Anfield, he's not, this is amazing, everything's rosy. When a player plays well, he'll give them the praise, but he won't get OTT with it. So I think he handles the press very well. I think he handles his players very well, and I think he's very good at giving the right amount of praise and criticism publicly when it's needed. I imagine behind closed doors he can be a bit of a tough cookie. I don't think he's quite as jovial as he comes across in his press conferences, but you can see what a great manager he is and why he had success at Sporting and why he's been able to get, what was it they say, Rome wasn't built in a day. Loads of people have been in the chat and the comments. Forgive me, I've not got to you. Sorry? Oh. I think we're buffering a little bit. I've just been told by producer Ben, so forgive me if this is affecting your viewing of this. I'll carry on. I'll go into some of the comments. Got Morris Marshall, Santa Notch, Harry Potter, Aaron, Wayne Davis, Alex Bailey. Good to see you, Colin Coupleditch. Loads of people in the comments. Wayne Davis says, is it me or is the stream struggling? Yep, I think there's a bit of lag going on. Forgive me about that. I mean, we will try and fix it, but just bear with us. Adam Gibson says, if this is taking shape, Christ, so far away from the standard. I think I think there's a nucleus there to work with. For any good team, you need a sort of core group of players that you can rely on, that are good, that are capable of doing a job for you. And I do think United have that. I do think there's at least 5 or 6 players who I think can have a bright future at Manchester United and can do a job for Manchester United and are good enough to push Manchester United towards a title challenge. I know they didn't all have a good game last night. I'm not saying they did. But when I look at players like Manuel Aguirre, like Kobbie Mainoo, Ahmad Diallo, obviously, Matthias de Ligt, I think Mazraoui's a player. I know Lenny Orr had a terrible time of it last night, but I don't think you can just go, oh, well, he's a bad footballer. I don't think he is. I think he's a very, very good, talented footballer. He just got a bit of a rude awakening last night, and also he's not played that many games in the Premier League, has he? How many times has he played? How many starts has he had in the Premier League? So he's got to get used to it. He's still a kid, but he's a kid that's got a very bright future. In my opinion, it might sound daft saying it after his worst game in a Manchester United shirt, but I'm not too concerned about that performance. I think he will learn. There are players that I think need to fix up. There are players that you might go, are they going to be at Manchester United much longer? Are they going to be part of Ruben Amorim's future plans? I'm not so sure. I get that, but I think there is a core group of players that are good enough and are up for it as well, which is a big thing at Manchester United, because we've had a lot of players who haven't been up for it in the past, and I think we'll be okay with this manager if we back him properly. Now, one player who there's been a lot of noise, a lot of talk about where he's going to end up. Is he going to go? Is he going to stay? Napoli sniffing round him. Did okay in spells last night, but I don't think it was a particularly great game for him. Alejandro Garnacho says here, Man United rejects Napoli move for Garnacho. This is from Simon Stone in the BBC a few hours ago. It says Manchester United have turned down an approach for winger Alejandro Garnacho from Napoli. The Serie A side have made Garnacho their number one target and plan to use money raised from Kvaratskhelia impending move to Paris Saint-Germain. However, they have failed with an initial approach for Garnacho that fell significantly below the Red Devils' valuation of the Argentina international. It is not known the precise nature of the communication, but it's thought the figure mentioned by Napoli was around 40 million quid. Look, I get that PSR has sort of shifted the goalposts a lot, because had we bought Garnacho for, say, 30 million and you were getting 70 million for him, people would probably go, okay, yeah. And that's kind of the same as him coming through the academy and us getting 40 million for him, because it's pure profit. There might have been a nominal fee when he came in. Was it Atletico he came from? There wasn't much, though. So I understand that PSR has shifted it. It has made everyone think of these transfers a little bit differently. But 40 million quid for Alejandro Garnacho is a nonsense. It just is. Now, you might not think Garnacho is good enough. You might not think he's the right option for Manchester United. You might think he's flattered to deceive a little bit. I don't think those things. But 40 million quid for a, 20-year-old who's played a lot of games already for Manchester United, scored a lot of goals for Manchester United, is capable of scoring worldies for Manchester United, hence the reason he won the Puskas Award. Come on, let's be serious here. You ain't paying 40 million quid for a player of that calibre. That's insulting to me, that. That's nonsensical. And I'm glad Manchester United have told him to get stuffed. Because even if you do let Alejandro Garnacho leave, you don't let him leave for 40 million quid. Now, some people may go, oh, well, we let Scott McTominay go for, less than that, or Mason Greenwood. Mason Greenwood, it was off-the-field issues that we all know about. We don't need to get into again. Scott McTominay was a lot older than 20 years old. So, and also, we had to move him on to bring in Ugarte. That was a business decision as much as a football one. It's like, look, how do we facilitate this move for the signing of Emmanuel Ugarte? The only way we can make that happen is if we move Scott McTominay on. Okay, let's do that. So, I'm not having 40 million for Garnacho. EL says, why doesn't Howson rate Djemba? Is that some sort of joke? I don't know. I presume he said something about Djemba as a joke. I mean, he didn't do well for Manchester United, did he? Let's not kid ourselves, but it's just a bit random. I don't quite know what's going on there. Sorry. Akash K says, Jay, I hated the MUTV analysis of this game, letting the players off the hook with fatigue. Only Alex Bruce gave objective analysis of the first half. Also, when was the last time Maz was rested? I do think two things can be true, though. And I do think fatigue is a thing. And I think that some of the players weren't good enough and didn't perform at the levels they should have performed. But I do think some of them look knackered. I don't think Manuel Ugarte is a bad player. I don't think Koeman is a bad player. But it looks a little bit leggy to me at times. They've played a lot of football. You've got to remember as well, at the Emirates, we played, not only did these players play, some of these players play like, 2 hours or whatever. A lot of them played a big chunk of the game when they were down to 10 men. So you're having to do extra running. You're having to find that little bit extra against a very good Arsenal team who were at home and have an extra player. So I do think some of them looked a little bit fatigued. But that being said, it still wasn't acceptable, the level of performance we saw from one or two players. Because we made Southampton look like prime Real Madrid at one point. It was getting ridiculous. So I think, as I said, I'm not trying to sit on the fence here, but I do genuinely believe that some of them looked a bit knackered and some of them just put in performances that weren't really good enough. One player that's sort of, having a lot of debate around him at the minute is Rasmus Højlund. Is he good enough? Is he just knackered? Is he getting the service? It seems to be gathering a lot of steam and momentum, this debate about Rasmus Højlund, and it's only going to go away if he starts scoring goals again. I don't think he had a particularly great game last night. He has played a lot of football, and again, he's run himself into the ground. But is it 2 goals in the Premier League this season? He's a striker that could do with some goals. He really is. Talking of strikers who get goals, Victor Gyökeres. Says here, I think this is in the Indie or the Independent, says Manchester United are hopeful of holding off competition for Sporting's Victor Gyökeres to secure a deal in the summer. We know that Gyökeres is a player that shone under Ruben Amorim. He brought him into Sporting. His goal-scoring record there is ridiculous. Looks like Arsenal fancy him. I'm not surprised that a lot of teams I expect to go for Victor Gyökeres in the summer, or at least be interested in him because of the goal-scoring record he's got, and because number 9s who could score loads of goals aren't exactly in abundance. Says here that Mikel Arteta has admitted that Arsenal are looking, and Gyökeres has been raised along with options such as Sesko from Leipzig and Brighton's Evan Ferguson. Arsenal have not seriously pursued PSG's Kolo Muani. I'm not a big fan of Muani personally. I think he's okay. Evan Ferguson did really well, didn't he, up to a certain point, and then I don't want to say fell off a cliff, but the goals dried up, didn't they? And he went from being someone who was, touted at being about 80, 90 million quid to a player that couldn't get in the Brighton team anymore. So he's still very young. He's very young, but we'll have to wait and see what happens with that one. And then, obviously, Gyökeres is probably the most reliable goal scorer there, the one that everyone's looking at. If Arsenal are going for him, they can offer him Champions League football. Unless we win the Europa, we're probably not going to be able to do that. But we know him. We know the manager, or the manager knows him, I should say, and that's what that article is getting at, is that could give us an advantage because we can or Ruben Amorim can talk to the player, and he's a player that he's worked with, and he's a player that he's had a lot of success with. Let's talk about Alphonso Davies. Says here, this is in the Manchester Evening News. It's come from Christian Falk, who's been on the channel, knows his stuff, knows his German stuff in particular. Says Alphonso Davies' agent Nick Hauser will be leaving Munich on Friday, having not reached an agreement with buying over a new contract for his client. As such, Hauser will be searching for meetings with United, Liverpool and Real Madrid about the prospect of his client moving there. The left-back's contract at the Bavarian club is set to expire at the end of the season. So we'll have to wait and see what happens with Alphonso Davies. I think the wages may be too much of a sticking point. There's obviously something in it. He's been linked with us for a little while, and he's the type of player you think could play in a Ruben Amorim system. He could play, as one of the wing backs. Of course he could. But are the wages going to scupper that? Because he's going to want big dough in it. And our Manchester United moving away from giving players 300, 350k a week. We'll have to wait and see. Akash K says, don't forget Jay Gano himself may want to leave. He might, but he can't dictate the terms of his sale. I don't think you can say, right, well, I've had enough. And the club just go, right, okay, we'll let you go for 40 million. I'd be surprised if that happened. Who knows? But yeah, Alphonso Davies, I'm not too sure about that one. Mr. K just says, Davies is a Woodward signing. Yeah. I agree with that one. I think he is. That's the sort of signing Ed Woodward would have been all over, and it would have been like, let's get him and give him 400k a week. And Davies would have gone, well, United are in the Champions League, but I'm going to get loads of more money than I'd get if I go anywhere else. So yeah, let's do this. And then you've got a player that's sort of on, one of the highest paid players in the world, and it's sort of upset the apple cart, if you will. So no, I think you're right. I'm sceptical. Can't rule it out, but we'll wait and see. Just a quick one on Erling Haaland. He signed a new deal. I'm only mentioning this. I know we're a Manchester United fan channel, but why mention City? But everyone's talking about this, including my Manchester United groups and online on socials. Haaland signed a new deal. You can see it there. 9.5-year deal till 2034. This is on Steam, as you can see. It says any exit clauses from previous terms removed, among the most lucrative deals in sporting history. I was looking at this, and people are trying to work out, does this mean City are going to get away with it? A City stockpiling, a City ready to, have they been told that they're only going to get a fine, or have they been told they're not going to be able to buy any more players? Are they, we don't know. I don't look too much into this. City are always have acted like they've done now wrong, and they just carry on doing business like they've done now wrong. So we'll have to wait and see. Obviously, I was reading as well that Erling Haaland, I think he's just become a dad. He's settled in Manchester as well. People forget that plays a part in a player's decision. Not everyone just goes because of, footballing reasons, although, unfortunately, it's not like he's at City and they're not challenging or winning things. He's obviously won a lot of trophies since he's been there. But also there's the human element. There's the element of, are you settled in the area? Are your family settled? All that stuff. So I'm not massively surprised that he's signed a deal. I am surprised at the length of it. 9.5 years is a long time. It's become a new thing, hasn't it? I think, didn't Cole Palmer sign a similar deal at Chelsea? Was it about 9 years? I mean, when I was a kid, until about a year ago, 2 years ago, contracts were like 5 years maximum usually. Well, now we've got players signing 8 and 9-year deals all over the gaff. Wayne Davies says 300 million over 9+ years, crazy money. Mark F says this is the downfall of City. Guarantee they will find it hard to offload him in 3 to 4 years. Woodward mentality. I don't know if that's a bit tongue in cheek. I hope you're right. Pecky says is 9.5 years roughly 115 months. Very good. Nicely done. I think it is, isn't it? Well, 10 years is 120 months. So you do the maths. Let's talk about Joe Hugill, striker. Like Joe Hugill, he scored a lot of goals at the academy. He's been recalled from his loan with Wigan, but there's a view to loaning him to another club for the remainder of the season. We'll have to wait and see what happens with him. He's on talks of him going to Carlisle. I don't know whether Joe Hugill is going to end up staying at Manchester United long term. I'm not saying he won't. We'll have to wait and see. Very, very difficult for strikers in particular to break into the Manchester United first team, young strikers, and stick around. It just is. Because that's usually a position where you already have established stars. Yeah, you're judged purely on goals a lot of the time as well, where if you're a defender, you can put in some good performances. People have okay, he's played well. Strikers, a lot of the time, people go, as he scored at the lower level, is he going to be able to do it in the Premier League? I like Joe Hugill. I think he's a very good player. Whether he can make that step up, I don't know, is the honest answer. We'll have to wait and see. We'll be chatting to Finn from Academy Scoop next week as well, maybe get his take on it. He knows a lot more about these things than I do. Marcus Rashford, we saw this last night, took to Instagram. I mean, newspapers running stories on Marcus Rashford. He says, I want to make it clear, I've never seen this photo. It was him pictured with a rapper, I think. I will never refuse any, but I am obviously not able to do a background check on any individual that asked me for a photo. So yeah, I think there was a story in the press about him. There you can see, he's posted it on his Instagram, him pictured with a rapper or someone who's, photo with a rapper apparently taken over a year ago. They're using it as some sort of story in the tabloid press because I presume this person has some sort of issues going on or some sort of checkered past or something that he's been accused of. I don't know the full details of this story. The only reason I flagged it up is because obviously Marcus Rashford is pushing it out, back against the press. Look, we know that Marcus Rashford is persona non grata at the minute at Manchester United. The manager's obviously not wanting to play him. He said he wants to leave. A lot of fans aren't too enamoured of Marcus Rashford. I get all that, but I still think you can back him or think that he's right to call out the press when they're running stupid stories about him being pictured with someone that's probably got nothing to do with him. So I get that, I do. Let's talk about Altnori. So you can see here, Juventus hopes to sign an unreliable Manchester United star who has the green light to leave. Where's this from, sorry?
Team Talk.
So this is from Team Talk, and this is saying basically that Malacia is going out, I think is the story here. And if you scroll down, I think there's a little bit more to it. Total Juve are saying that Tyrone Malacia could be leaving, and this is from Romano as well, that he could go in on a 6-month loan this January potentially. It's a bit of a funny one, isn't it, with Malacia? Because I think he's done okay when he's come back in. He still looks a little bit off it. Is he going to be good enough for Manchester United long term? Is he going to be part of the plans for Ruben Amorim? Probably not. Says here as well that Amorim wants Ryan Altnori from Wolves. We're linked with a load of Wolves players, aren't we? Who's the other one we're linked with? Is it Gomez and Cunha? Yeah, so it looks like we're just sort of raiding Molineux at the minute. We'll have to wait and see what happens with that one. Interesting one. Just finally, let's end on a high. Amad Diallo, hat-trick hero, Amad Diallo. Sorry, it's Amad now, isn't it? I think I saw this online. It's Amad. It says the consequence of Manchester United's dramatic victory over Southampton means more to him than taking home his first ever match ball. He's very humble, isn't he? He's such a humble guy. He said, I feel very good, so happy to score my first hat-trick, especially at Old Trafford, but the most important thing is the win together as a team because we need that confidence and we have to keep going like this. I'm trying to do my best every game. I'm trying to follow the system of the manager. I'm here to help this team because we need this confidence and want to win every match. I just love Amad Diallo. Oh, there's more. If I score, I'm so happy, but for me, the most important thing is the win as a team. In some matches, we play good, but in the first half, we're not good enough, very truthful. We're ready for the next match because we know we'll play against Brighton and it's a tough match. I think we're ready for that game. Amad, I will get that ingrained in my brain. Well done to him. Rescued us, really, didn't it? It could have been a horrible, horrible evening. It was a bit of a horrible evening, though. We won. But a win is a win, and credit to him. Keeps going, earns his goals as well, doesn't he? He's one of those, he battles for a lot of these goals. So good performance from him. Good to see him getting a hat-trick, and hopefully he can help us get a much-needed win as well at the weekend. We need to keep this momentum going. I'm going to leave it there. I'm going to be back later on today. The content is coming thick and fast. Going to be chatting to Ben Jacobs later on today. Going to be chatting to Jamie Jackson later on today. We're going to have the Brew later on today as well. So make sure if you're not doing, you are hitting like, share and subscribe. I'm Jamie Moyer. This has been The Paper Talk. Thanks for watching.